So, the second video, we're dressed in all black, we've not got a lot of time, so this might not be the longest video, right? But we're going to speak about what actually creates the reality that you experience, right? The things that you have in your physical life that you think are a coincidence, you think are random, you think this is just happening because it's happening. You couldn't really give any real reason to why it's happening, but there is a reason, and there's a complete direct reason. So let's start off with a little story about my client that I spoke to this morning. He came to me experiencing the problem with not being able to keep his attention placed on one thing. He couldn't maintain attention on one thing. He told me, Kyle, I can't do it. I've not got the ability to just keep my attention placed on one thing. I blew his mind when I gave him this extreme example of how he does have the ability to do that, right? So I'll give you it right now. I want you to imagine, if you're someone that thinks that as well, that you can't keep your attention placed on one thing, and I just can't focus, I can't concentrate, I've not got the ability to do it, right? Say someone comes into your house right now and kicks your door in and with a shotgun, and it blows a hole in your wall, and he starts screaming, give me everything you've got, I'm going to shoot you in the fucking face, right? Do you think you're going to have the ability to focus on one thing, that is staying safe? I would argue that you would be able to. So what's happened to my client is he's told himself enough times that he couldn't keep attention on one thing. He's told himself enough times that lie that he now believes it. And what then happened in his reality? He experienced the lack of ability to concentrate. He couldn't concentrate on one thing because he had a belief in his mind, right? He had told himself that he couldn't keep his attention placed on one thing. So what happened in his mind then created this experience that he had in real life where he couldn't concentrate. That's what I'm getting at, right? I was reading a little book this morning called The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, and I'm going to read a couple of lines out just to make you more aware, right? So if you didn't know, your mind, right, there's duality in your mind. So there's two parts to your mind. There's the conscious and the unconscious, or the masculine, the feminine, whatever words you want to choose, right? The modern day way of explaining it is the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And essentially, your subconscious mind will create your reality, right? But we're going to speak a little bit about how that works. Okay, so a really good analogy that this book gives, and the reason why I'm not just speaking to you as if I know everything is because it's good. I'm learning this, you're learning this, and as we are on this journey together, we're going to get better. We're going to learn the information, and we're going to take what we can from these books, we can apply it to real life, and we can then start to become in control of the reality that we experience and the life that we live. The life that we call life, we can actually start to have some influence over how it actually works and what we experience, right? So, what this says is, right, a wonderful way to begin getting to know the two functions of your mind is to think of it as a garden. You are the gardener. You are planting seeds of thought in your subconscious mind all day long. Much of the time, you're not even aware of doing so. I can't place attention on one thing. This is what my client was doing, right? Because the seeds are based on your habitual thinking, so he had a habit of thinking that he couldn't place attention, so he wasn't even aware that he was planting these seeds in his subconscious mind. As you sow in your subconscious mind, so shall you reap in your body and environment. So he was planting these seeds that he couldn't keep his attention fixed on one thing in his subconscious mind because he consistently thought it, and therefore what did he experience? He couldn't concentrate on one thing. Imagine your subconscious mind as a bed of rich soil that will help all kinds of seeds to sprout and flourish, whether good or bad. If you sow thorns, will you gather grapes? So if you plant the seeds of I can't do it, do you think you're going to experience being able to do it? No. The same way that if you sow thorns, so if you plant the seeds of thorns, are grapes going to grow out the ground? Are nice, beautiful, tasty grapes going to grow out the ground? No. You're going to get thorns that are going to come out the ground. So the same way that you consistently tell yourself something, you will then have an experience in life that will reflect that thing you keep telling yourself. If you sow thistles, will you harvest figs? Every thought is a cause and every condition is an effect, right? So cause and effect, we'll go into that a little bit deeper in maybe the next video actually, right? But essentially the principle of cause and effect, a really easy way to, before we keep reading, to break this down for you is, right, I want you to think about, imagine I throw a dice, right, and that dice, it rolls and it lands on a number 6. You might think that's quite lucky, I hit a number 6, but the reality of it is there's a lot of causes and a lot of effects that have resulted in that dice landing on a 6. So you think about the cause, right? What's the cause of that dice landing a 6? Right? Maybe it's the amount of power I put into the throw. Maybe it's how hard the surface is that caused the dice to bounce and roll a certain amount of times before it landed on that 6. There's a complete reason, if you really work it back, from it landing and stopping on a 6, if you work it back to how hard the surface is, to how much power I put into the throw, to the angle I threw it at, to how low my hand was to the table. There's so many reasons and causes that have created this effect that is the dice landing on number 6. So the way that this book speaks about it is that every thought that you put into your mind, right, is the cause, and every experience that you have, the condition that you have in your life, is the effect. So right now, what thoughts are you putting into your mind? What thoughts are you thinking? What seeds are you planting in your subconscious? And does that correlate to the results you're getting in life right now? Have a think, reflect. I personally believe that it does, right, based on the things that these books say. But I'm not going to tell you to think a certain way. I'm just going to give you this information, and you can do with it what you please, right? What you think is right to do with it. This is the reason it is so essential to take charge of your thoughts. In that way, you can bring forth only desirable conditions. Begin now to sow thoughts of peace, happiness, right action, goodwill, and prosperity. Think quietly and with conviction on these qualities. Accept them fully in your conscious reasoning mind. Continue to plant these wonderful seeds of thought in the garden of your mind, and you will reap a glorious harvest. So once you take control of the thoughts that you're thinking, you start to plant more positive seeds, right? So for my client today, I can concentrate. Of course I can. I have the ability to keep my intention if I want to. I really have the power to do that. He now going forward will now have an experience of being able to do that 100%. Because the cause, the thoughts, things that you're thinking, and the effect, the experiences that you have, are directly linked. What happens in the mind will happen in real life, will happen in the physical reality that we live in. The thing is, right, another thing from this book, if you look around you, right, wherever you live, whatever circle or society you're a part of, you will notice that most people live in the world without, right? Those who are more enlightened, however, are intentionally involved with the world within. They realize, as you will too, that the world within creates the world without. Your thoughts, feelings, and visualized imagery are the organizing principles of your experience. The world within is the only creative power. Everything you find in your world of expression, so the outer world that you can see, has been created by you in the inner world of your mind, whether consciously or unconsciously. So what that means is when it says it's like the world of expression, so the world that you can see, that's been created by your inner world of your mind, consciously or unconsciously, whatever one it is, right? So my client, for example, just to refer it back to a real life situation, he was unconsciously creating the experience that he couldn't concentrate on one thing because he had a habitual way of thinking that he couldn't do it, right? It was difficult to concentrate on one thing. And the more he sowed those seeds, the more he planted those seeds, the more of the experiences that came up, right? So the more experiences of him not being able to concentrate came up, and that was the cause, right? And the effect. The cause are the thoughts that he's thinking habitually, the seeds that he's planting, and the effect was the experience that he had, couldn't concentrate. So you can start to see how the things in your life right now, the scenarios that you're facing, everything that's going on, they have came from the cause. And what is the cause? It's the thoughts that you're planting in your mind, essentially. So a little bit of this book, and I know these are pretty raw, these YouTube videos, it's like they're not edited, Kyle's just sitting reading a book to me, right? But this is wisdom, that if you understand this wisdom and you're starting to grasp it as we're talking, right, you're going to understand why things in your life are happening. Why am I dealt with these circumstances? You think it's a chance, you think it's random, you think you have no control over it, but the reality of it is, everything has completely been created in your mind before you experience it. So if you start to understand this, you can start to harness and take control of your thoughts so that you can then plant positive seeds of wealth, abundance, success, positivity, love, joy, and start to experience more of that in your life. Because what happens in your mind must happen in your life. Another little quote here, right? Another part that I highlighted. And I actually sent this to a client that recently is like, mate, how do I actually move forward? This is happening, that's happening. His focus is in the wrong place. He thinks that he can't do it because this, right, read this. If you repeatedly say to yourself, I can't afford it, your subconscious mind takes you at your word. It sees to it that you will not be in a position to buy what you want. As long as you go on saying, I can't afford that car, that vacation, that home, you can be sure your subconscious mind will follow your orders, right? You will go through life experiencing the lack of all these things, and you will believe that the circumstances made it so. You'll believe that it's life just giving you that, but it's not. It's because of the things that you're thinking and the words that you're saying. It will not occur to you that you have created those circumstances yourself by your own negative, denying thoughts. You're unconsciously creating this negative life that you've got because you don't understand that the thoughts that you think, the things that the seeds that you plant in your mind, will then come into your life as an experience. Because what happens up here must happen in life, right? And this is how it works. This is how it works, right? And the scenario that you've got in life right now is you're not necessarily aware of this. And that's why it seems random. As I've said previously in this video, it seems random. You seem like you've got no control over it, but that is not the case. So how your mind works, right? Whatever your conscious mind assumes and believes to be true, your subconscious mind will accept and bring to pass. Believe in good fortune, divine guidance, and right action, and all the blessings of life, right? So that's what you need to believe to be true, is that you will be successful. You will have all the money that you want. Once you start to think these things habitually, once you start to plant these positive seeds in your mind, it will shock you how quickly the experiences of life will start to change. You will start to get more experiences that are full of the success that you've assumed in your mind, the thoughts that you're planting. And if you think about this, right, let's think about the complete opposite scenario, right? You can think about someone in your life right now, or someone that you know, that everything's shit, right? I'm so unlucky. I can't believe this happened today. I'm so stressed out, right? What happens to that person? Do they have wealth? The answer is no. Do they have success? The answer is no. Do they have a life that reflects the words that they say and the things that they think? 100%. You know a negative person that has a bad life. That's not a coincidence, right? That is a result of the things that they're thinking. It's a result of the seeds that they're planting, and therefore the experiences they're having within their life. So what happens as the cause in your mind, right, creates an effect. The effect is the things that you experience. So just to reinforce it again, the thoughts that you plant, the seeds that you plant in your subconscious mind, will realize as an experience in your life. And it's easy to understand that when you look at someone that's always negative. I can't do this, life's shit, this won't work and this won't work. Does it work for it? Does it ever work for that person? No, it never works for that person because they're always thinking the wrong things. They're always putting the wrong thoughts out there. They believe in the wrong things, right? And to make this a little bit more practical, right, because you are like, Kyle, how the fuck do I just think about these things and it works, right? The person that believes that they can do it, the person that says, I am confident, right? I can speak well, right? I am valuable. That person will take action. That person will network. That person will speak to the right people. Because if we think about people being successful, right, you need to know the right people. You need to network. You need to, for example, me and my twin brother Jack, right, we have networked with lots and lots of people, multiple millionaires, right? The reason why I know my current mentor right now is because me and Jack, we felt confident within ourselves to go to this property course. We went to the property course, we met a guy called Dale. This guy called Dale, off the back of that, set up his own gym, randomly set up a podcast studio, and whilst he'd done that, me and Jack thought, we're the kind of guys, we feel confident enough, we can be successful enough to shoot a podcast, we've got valuable things to say. That's the thoughts that we thought, that's the things that we believed about ourselves. That gave us this experience in our life that was caused by those thoughts and the things that we planted, where we got a podcast. And we started a podcast, we went and used Dale's studio, and what happened, we were confident, we were shooting the podcast, and then Dale said that you might like this guy called Gio. And that's how we met the mentor. That's how we met Gio, that is now mentoring me and has now put me in a really good position where I'm a lot further ahead than I would have been if I didn't meet him, right? But what I'm trying to get at is, if I didn't believe in myself initially, if I thought negatively, I can't do it, right? And this is why I'm making it more practical for you. The thoughts that I would have thought was, I can't do it. I would have believed that I wasn't good enough. I would have thought that I can't do it. I would have felt demotivated and hopeless and fearful, right? And then I wouldn't have went to the property course. The actions would have been avoidance, not going to that. And then I wouldn't have networked with Dale. And then I wouldn't have started the podcast. And I wouldn't have met Gio. So the outcomes of my life, to make it more practical for you, instead of just thinking, plant these seeds and it'll happen. Although I do believe that as well, right? But if we make it more practical, the beliefs that you have, the things you believe in will create a thought, right? That thought will make you feel a certain way. That feeling will then create an action, will cause you to act in a certain way. So if you can't do it, and you believe you're not good enough, you think negative things, it won't work, right? You're going to feel shit, you're not going to take the action, and you're not going to get the outcome. So how this starts to work is when you believe you can do it, when you plant the seeds of I can, when you plant the seeds of I am good enough, I am successful, your brain will start to process and filter reality to see opportunities that will back up that belief that you've got. But the same way that if you don't think you're good enough and you believe that it's not going to work, you believe everything's shit, you're going to see opportunities for it not to work. You're going to use evidence in your reality to show that it won't work, right? And this is a thing called confirmation bias, right? So confirmation bias is when you have a pre-existing belief in your mind, you will use evidence to back that belief up. So if you don't believe you're good enough, you're going to use evidence that shows that, right? But let's think about the guy. I use this example, it's a bit of an extreme example, right? But we all know someone that thinks they're really good at something, but they're not. They might be good at a wee tiny part of it, but as a whole, they're not that good, right? Or maybe it's how they look. They think they look really strong and big, but they've got really strong looking biceps, and they don't really have a strong looking chest. They've not got abs, they've not got anything else, but they've got a bicep vein. And what they do is they use confirmation bias to back up the fact that they're good and they look good by just focusing on that bicep. Like, look at that bicep though, how good's the bicep though? And everyone else might be looking at them thinking, bro, look at your abs, that needs some work. Your chest, but he believes, right? He has this belief that he's solid and he looks good, and he uses confirmation bias, right? He uses the evidence that his bicep looks good to back up the belief that he is good enough and he is solid, right? And that might seem like a silly example, but it also might seem silly that he's using that evidence to back up that he's solid because he's got a bicep vein, but in reality he's got no abs, he's got no chest, he doesn't really gym consistently, and he's just got a bicep vein from, I don't know, going to the gym twice a week, right? But that's the same way that it's silly that your brain will back up and use evidence to show that you can't do it. It's silly evidence. It'll be like, oh, I can't do that because I've not had my hair cut, right? Or I can't do that because you'll use evidence that doesn't even make logical sense, right, to why you can't do things because you've got a pre-existing belief that you can't do it, right? And when you start to understand that your brain will use confirmation bias and your subconscious mind will filter reality using this thing called confirmation bias based on pre-existing beliefs, if you look at something and you think, I can't do that, if you're aware of the belief that you have that tells you that, you can then go in and have the power, the position of power to think, right, where's that belief coming from? Do I actually believe that? So that unconscious thought of, oh, I can't do that, that might come from a pre-existing belief in your life, previously in your life, right? And the power in becoming aware of that and understanding how that shapes your reality through the thoughts, the feelings, the actions, allows you to consciously, with your conscious mind, like right now you're conscious watching this video, makes you consciously think or be able to question it and think, do I actually believe in that belief? Do I actually have a belief that I can't do it? Or is that something that I maybe just told myself and I don't really believe in? And that's why the videos that I'm posting here allow you to question yourself. Like if you've once had a thought, I cannot become a millionaire, but I want to become, like, if someone gave me a magic wand, of course I'd be a millionaire. So why can you not? Why can you not be a millionaire? Why is there some people that go from being homeless to being a multi-fucking millionaire? But you, in your position, with a good fucking new phone, watching this video, how can you not become a millionaire? Because you have a belief somewhere in your mind, your subconscious, that you're not aware of. And that's why it's controlling you, because you're not aware of it. And when we talk about the subconscious mind, 95% of your actions are controlled by your subconscious mind. So if that subconscious mind is trained against you by this habitual way of thinking of I can't do it, your actions will then be dictated by that I can't do it mind that you've got. But again, if you think, but watching this video, if you think, no, if I had a magic wand, I would definitely become a millionaire, but there's a voice in your head that says you can't, where does it come from? Ask yourself where it comes from, because it's not conscious. Consciously you want to become a millionaire. Consciously you know that it's possible. There's a part of your mind that doesn't believe you can, and that part of your mind is subconscious, and that's why it's creating this feeling of doubt It's creating this action of avoidance, and that's how you will never be able to get the outcome of being a millionaire, because of your subconscious mind controlling you. So hopefully that makes it a little bit more actionable than you just plant the seeds and things happen, right? The unconscious beliefs cause you to think. So I can't do it as an unconscious belief, or money doesn't grow on trees. It's not that easy to make money. It's not that easy to be successful. If you came from a house with not a lot of success, that's an unconscious belief that's been trained into you since you've been younger. That creates thoughts of I can't really do that. Feelings, doubt, fear, right? What actions do you take when you feel doubt and fear? You choose avoidance. You don't do it. And that's why you never get the outcome. So it's a little bit more actionable than just thinking about it and it will happen, right? But as it states in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, the law of your mind is this: the reaction or response you get from your subconscious mind will be determined by the nature of the thought or idea you hold in your conscious mind. So consciously right now you have a choice. You have a choice to put your attention, place your attention on what if it does work? What if it does work? Consciously hold in your mind the thought of I am wealthy, I am successful. Play that out in your mind. And if you can hold that consciously in your mind and feel what it would be like to be successful, you're going to start seeing reality shift. Because if you can truly consciously hold the thought of I am successful, I am worthy, I can do it, you're going to start seeing opportunities to back that up through confirmation bias like we've just explained. And when you see opportunities to back that up, and it allows you to feel a little bit more motivated, because you're like, oh, that's something that's happened that could definitely help me get to that place. But if your pre-existing belief tells you that you can't do it, you're not going to even think or see that as an opportunity. So when you start to hold consciously in your mind like, I can do it, I am worth it, I am wealthy, I am successful, I can do it, right? I am someone that has that as a potential outcome in my life, I can do it. It feels good, right? It makes you feel motivated to move forward and go. So if you can use this, if you can start to consciously use your brain to hold thoughts that are positive in your mind, you'll start to plant those positive seeds. And then because 95% of your actions are controlled by your subconscious, once you consciously plant the seeds, your subconscious will go, roger that, I understand what you're telling me, and it will come through and create these actions, right? Whether it's, again, taking action, whether it's going to this networking event, whether it's doing something that's bold or risky that you wouldn't do before. These are the kind of things that subconsciously you're going to start doing, which is going to give you the outcome in your life. So just to round it off, right? I know that's been a little bit, maybe a little bit lofty. I'm posting this anyway, right? Because it's been some good wisdom and knowledge spoke into the camera. I think it's very important that you understand a little bit about how the experiences in your life are coming about, like how this stuff works. And it all happens in your mind before it happens in your physical reality. And I'm going to give you a little example of that just to allow you to conceptualize it a little bit more, right? So the chair that you're sitting on, the phone that you're using to watch this, right? That was an idea in someone's mind before it was a physical chair or a physical phone that you had in your life, right? Completely. So the same way that the life that you want to live, the version of yourself that you can see in your mind, that must exist there before it exists in your physical life, the physical thing that you experience. Cause, mind, reality, experience, effect. It must happen here before it happens here. But if you're consistently in your mind, I can't do it, this is going to go wrong, that's going to go wrong. That's why everything, that's the cause, is giving you the experience that things are going wrong, things can't work. But if we create this new thought and we consciously reframe negative thoughts and we consciously hold positive thoughts in our mind, that will give you the effect, because will give you the effect of the experience of those positive thoughts in your life. So going forward, hold it in your mind. What does it feel like to be successful? What does it look like? What do you look like? What does the car that you're driving look like? How much money are you making? Create it in your mind. Hold it in your mind as a possibility, because it can happen. There's been crazier things happen than you be successful. Whether it's making 5, 10, 20 grand a month, or whether you're an entrepreneur that's trying to make 7 figures, hit $1 million, whatever it is, it must exist in your mind before it exists in your physical life. But right now, if your mind is telling you you can't do it and it's thinking about all the worst case scenario, it's all you're going to experience. Same way that my client couldn't pay attention to something and couldn't hold his attention on one thing, is the same way that you will not, is the same way you might be telling yourself that you can't do it. And that's why he experienced the reality of he couldn't pay attention, because he believed that to be true. is the same way that you're not going to experience success if you don't believe that you can actually do it. So until the next video, episode, whatever the fuck you want to call it, comment below what you took away from this. Give me a little bit of reflection. Tell me your thoughts. It's good striking while the iron's hot, whilst you've soaked in a bit of new information. Maybe I've delivered it in a way that is a little bit too, it's a bit too lofty, and you're like, Kyle, what have you just said? But maybe I've said some things that have landed. So let me know what's landed, let me know what you've taken away from it. We'll have a little conversation in the comments. But as always, I appreciate your time and attention. You're giving me your attention and time over anything else in the world right now, and I do not take that for granted. And if you're doing this, I've got all the time in the world for you. Right? So reach out to me on Instagram, comment below, let me know what you've taken away from it, and we can carry on this powerful conversation about how the things in your life aren't random, they completely happen because of the things that are happening in your mind. Hopefully that's clear by now. But have an amazing night, day, morning, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this. As always, I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.